Good morning. Hey, so tomorrow I'm going to be doing a Zoom pre-marriage counseling thing. And one of the things that there's a number of things I tell the groom, but one of them is, it's not about you. It's all about the bride. And it really is. I mean, when the groom walks in with it usually following right behind me and the groomsmen, we're up front. Everybody just sits there, and if they're smart, they're looking over their shoulders. Because then the bride comes in and everybody stands up. And it's like, we just walk in the side door, like off the back alley, and she comes in and you get it. But I always have fun telling the groom, this is not about you, it's about her. But in the Jewish custom of marriage, it was a whole lot more about the groom. It just was. And I want to talk a little bit about that today. So, sharing from the Book of Mysteries by Jonathan Cahn, it talks about the bridegroom's visitation. And so the teacher and the student, they are out in the desert somewhere, and they arrived at a tent village. And when they're there, they realize that it's a tent village for a bridegroom. So there's this groom who is going to be going on a journey. And they watch the events unfold. They were uninvited, but they seemed to be unnoticed, and people didn't seem to mind them too much. So it was all focused on this young man and his entourage that were following him. He gets on his camel and he starts riding. And he's got all these other guys, and they're following on foot. And they're friends, they're relatives. And the procession made its way out to the end of the camp. And then they headed out. And they followed along, and no one seemed to mind that they were doing it. So they walked about a half an hour until they arrived at their destination, which was another tent village where a small crowd was waiting. The bridegroom dismounted the camel and was welcomed by the group, and then led into one of the tents. Okay, so the teacher says, what you just witnessed was the journey of the bridegroom. It goes back to the Hebrew wedding of ancient times. In order for there to be a marriage, the bridegroom had to first make a journey from his house to the house of the bride. You're starting to figure this out, aren't you? It didn't matter where she lived, across the camp or across the desert. Wherever she was, he had to journey to her. And the student's like, okay, what's the mystery in this? Well, I think some of you are ahead of this. Well, the bridegroom is a shadow of God. It's of the Lord. It's of Jesus. And we are each born to be the bride. But in order for there to be a marriage, the joining of the two, the bridegroom must always journey from his house to the house of the bride. So according to the mystery, 2,000 years ago, the bridegroom, the Lord, God, Jesus, undertook the journey of the bridegroom. He traveled not across a city or desert, but across time and space, from heaven, the house of the bridegroom, to earth, the house of the bride. Does the bride ever journey to the bridegroom, says the student. Never, says the teacher. In the same way, you can never reach God or heaven on your own, but you don't have to. It is the bridegroom who journeys to the bride. It is God who journeys to you. He comes to your tent, to your life, no matter where you are, no matter what your life is like, no matter how far away you are from Him. He still comes to your house. And no matter where you find yourself, He will be the one to come to you and knock on the door of your heart. It's terminology we kind of understand, right? And so then finally the student asks, and what does the bride do? What are we supposed to do? Open up. Open up and let Him in. That's the invitation, folks. That's the picture. And so Jewish people, there's a lot of things from the New Testament they understood a lot better than us because they understood the customs. But Jesus said then, once she committed to Him and they were betrothed, then He would go and prepare a place for her. That's what He says in John chapter 14. And that at the right time He would come for her and take her to His Father's house, because that's how they did it. If you've never invited Christ to come into your life, may today be the day. Lord, bless this word. Use it in someone's life today. God bless you. Have a great week.